So what we're going to do now is we're going to add a bar here at the top, which will have a name of the current user and of course a share button here. Okay, so we're going to go to the top here before our linear layout. I'm going to create another linear layout. Linear layout as such. I'm going to make this match parent. So then I'm going to add a text view here. I'm going to make this wrap content. Wrap content. I'm going to give a text. This is going to say something. This is where I'm going to have. This is where we're going to have a name. For instance, Gina. You can't quite see there, but it is there. We're going to make it. All right. I'm going to give a padding of about 3 dp. And text size, I'm going to make it about 17 sp. Oops, this text size. All right, that looks good. I'm going to give it a gravity of start. Very good. And while we're here, let's make it visible. So at this point, like I said, you can see it's there, but we don't see anything. Let's go back to our parent linear layout here, and I'm going to add elevation to about 10. The moment you do that, you notice that it comes up. So what is this elevation thing here? Well, the elevation, it's like z-index if you're familiar with HTML and CSS, web development, which means the bigger this number is, the more visible it is. So it comes up front. The item comes up front. So this linear layout here is coming now up front, and the image is going to be in the back. Okay, so it's very handy. Now you can see there it is. And going back to our text view here, give an ID. In fact, I like to give an ID at the top here. It's always a good idea. ID. I'm going to call this journal row username, like that. Very good. And then I'm going to add a button here. Wrap content, wrap content. And this is going to be ID, journal, row, share button, like that. Very descriptive. Let's change this to image button instead. That way I can give it a source, which is going to be Android. And I'm going to go to IC menu share, like that. So you can see there's the button. I'm going to make the background transparent, like this, so you can just see the icon there. But I want this to go all the way to the right. Now notice both of them are really close together. I'm going to go to the root linear layout here, and I'm going to add a few things. So first of all, I'm going to say layout gravity, and I want it to be, so I'm going to give gravity, and I'm going to say right, like that. So it goes all the way to the right. Very good. But I want to make sure that this name here is to the left. Looks like it want us to add end like that instead of to the right. Very good. Now, because we are inside of a linear layout here, and this is horizontal orientation, we have these two Gina and of course the button. So we want to make sure that, for instance, Gina goes all the way to the left here. How do we do that? Well, inside of our text view, which is going to be our Gina there, we can actually add the weight. We call this layout weight, like that. So what that means is that it divides this entire linear layout into certain weights. So the bigger the weight of the bigger number, the more space we're going to give for it. In this case, if I say 9, for instance, notice right away, what happens is that our Gina is all the way to the left, right? Because we have only 2 items. So if we were to add another item on our text view, it will go ahead and divide everything up accordingly. In this case here, if I put 0, notice that nothing really changed. If I put 1, notice it takes more space than the other one. Okay, so we can just do 1 here because it's more than 0 and it's going to take more space. And that's how we get that. Okay, very good. So now that we have our journal row, we can actually take this, go back to our recycle view, remember, because we waited for a bit. We have this view holder here. We're going to let that be, and we're going to come down here in our view holder class where we set everything. We're going to go ahead and do like this. I'm going to just add that row there. Okay, so we're getting this name. And at this point, we should be able to set up our view holder set username like that. Okay, save this and give a quick run. I think it should do it. Okay, we're forced to keep going like this. It's okay. paulo@me.com, password, log in. We have to add something. Let's add this. Hey there. Now what? Save. Notice now all of these items, all of these journals, they have the name of the person, which is in this case is me. I'm logged in, and I'll have that button there. Good. So now everything is working perfectly. So the next thing I'm going to do here, just because we have it here, I'm going to show you what else can we do. So now we have our button here that we added, this one, share. And let's give an ID. Does it have an ID? It does not. Oh, yes, it does have an ID. So it's a journal, row, share button. Very good. So we're going to instantiate that as well. It's our recycle view here. I'm going to come down here and say public. I bet it was image button, just to be precise. Share button like that. So inside here, I'm going to go ahead and say share button item. Find by r.id. I'm going to paste the actual link there, the actual ID. And at this point here, what I can do, remember, because I have this context, I can actually make it clickable so that we can actually go to the next view or the next activity, right? So I can say share.set on click listener, new on click listener as such, and I can say context.start activity as such, and I can go ahead and pass my intent. At this point here, this is going to be something that you will do as a challenge, and we're going to get to that. Very good. So now I have our share button is working, or at least we have set it up. Let's make sure everything is good. Find share button, and we have a share button there, and nothing else we have to do with our share button here. Very good. So going back, you can see everything still works. So of course, if I click on this share button, nothing's going to happen yet because there's nothing that we've done yet. But everything else is working good. And the next thing I'm going to do here, notice that title of our thought of a journal is the same as the actual journal, so the text. Let's change that. Of course, going back to our journal row here, let's go to our thoughts. I'm going to just say normal, like this. That's good. Of course, we don't have to go through the whole process again, but just trust that everything should work better now. Okay, let's go ahead and test it out. Why not? Let's use Gina@me.com. I think we have a Gina. There we go. Let's add something for Gina, my sweet mother. Hello there, my thoughts. Very gibberishy, but it's all good. And voila. Okay, so all of the thoughts now, because Gina is the first time, of course, there's nothing else showing here. Hey there, hello there, so this looks much better. Very good. So it seems like we are at a point where we need to do some user interface overhaul here. So at this point here, the app is working perfectly. So next, what we're going to be doing is we are going to revamp the user interface. So there's lots to learn, and let's do that in the next video.